Right now, while you watch this, a robot is being trained to do your job. A quantum processor is learning to break the encryption protecting your bank account, and a species that has been extinct for 360 years is being brought back to life. Here are 30 things happening before 2030, whether you are ready or not. Number 1. AI-augmented work, the end of the job as you know it. By 2030, the majority of white-collar jobs worldwide are not performed by humans alone. They are performed by human AI teams in which the AI executes 60 to 80% of the actual tasks. Emails, code, legal drafts, financial models, diagnostic reports. The AI does the drafting, the human provides judgment. The job title stays the same, the job description becomes unrecognizable. According to the IMF, AI touches nearly 40% of jobs globally, and the workers who adapt will not be replaced. The workers who don't will be replaced by those who have. That's the job market, but the engine running all of it has a problem nobody is talking about loudly enough. Number 2. AI becomes an electricity problem. Data center electricity consumption is projected to nearly double to 945 terawatt-hours globally by 2030. That is equivalent to adding Japan's entire electricity demand to the world's grid in 6 years. The IEA has documented that grid queues worldwide are already stalling more than 2,500 gigawatts of projects waiting for connection. The AI revolution is not a software story. It is a power and real estate story. Every data center on Earth is chasing the same cheap megawatts. The grid is running out of room to say yes. Electricity is the choke point, and the biggest thing forcing the grid to change faster than anything else isn't AI.
Number 3. Electric vehicles cross the point of no return. In 2024, global EV sales crossed 17 million units, more than 20% of all new cars sold. The IEA projects that figure crosses 40% by 2030, with the global EV fleet reaching 250 million vehicles. Battery costs have fallen more than 90% since 2010. The internal combustion engine is not dead by 2030, but the math of its replacement is irreversible. The question is no longer whether EVs win. It is whether the grid, the charging infrastructure, and the mineral supply chains can keep pace. The car is changing. Something far older is about to change too, in a way nobody expected. Number 4. Extinct species are being resurrected. In 2009, the Pyrenean ibex became the first animal to be made unextinct for 7 minutes before a lung defect killed the cloned female. The science has come a very long way since then. 3 approaches are now converging: cloning from preserved genetic material, selective breeding of closely related modern species, and CRISPR-based genetic engineering that edits a modern animal's genome until it matches an extinct ancestor with striking accuracy. Colossal Biologicals, backed by over $200 million, is targeting the woolly mammoth, the dodo, and the Tasmanian tiger. By 2030, the first viable hybrid animals carrying the key traits of extinct species are alive. They are not identical to their ancestors, but they are close enough to force courts, conservation bodies, and philosophers to answer a question biology has never had to ask before. What does it mean to bring something back? Life is being rewritten. Meanwhile, 3 billion people are about to get something they have never had. Number 5. Satellite internet reaches the last 3 billion. SpaceX ended 2025 with more than 9,300 active Starlink spacecraft. Amazon's Kuiper constellation is deploying. The FCC approved an additional 7,500 Starlink satellites in January 2026. By 2030, low-latency broadband has reached every inhabited point on Earth: the fishing village in Indonesia, the farm in rural Nigeria, the classroom in the Bolivian highlands. 3 billion people who have never had reliable internet access are coming online simultaneously. The downstream effects on education, commerce, political access, and who gets to use AI tools are more consequential than the technology itself. The planet is getting connected. What it does with that connection will define the rest of the century.
Number 6. Humans return to the moon. On April 1, 2026, NASA's Artemis II carried 4 astronauts on the first crewed lunar flyby since 1972. Artemis 4, targeting early 2028, lands astronauts on the surface. The Lunar Gateway, a space station in lunar orbit, is under construction. China is targeting its own crewed lunar landing by 2030 with the Long March 10 rocket. For the first time in human history, 2 nations are simultaneously racing to establish a permanent foothold on another world. The moon is not being visited, it is being claimed. We are going back, and this time we are not leaving. But the most important race of 2030 may be happening in a laboratory, not a launch pad. Number 7. mRNA cancer vaccines enter the clinic. Moderna and Merck demonstrated in Phase 2 trials that a personalized mRNA cancer vaccine tailored to each patient's specific tumor mutations reduced melanoma recurrence or death by 44% compared to immunotherapy alone. By 2030, that platform has expanded into lung, colorectal, and bladder cancers, with multiple products either approved or in Phase 3. Your cancer vaccine has your name on it, literally. Manufactured from a biopsy of your specific tumor, sequenced, designed by AI in days, infused within weeks of diagnosis, mRNA stopped being a COVID technology. It became the platform that is rewriting oncology. Cancer is being personalized out of existence. The diseases that are accelerating, though, are not waiting. Number 8. AI-designed drugs compress a decade into 18 months. The traditional drug discovery pipeline takes 10 to 15 years and costs over $2 billion per approved drug. AI systems handling target identification, molecular design, toxicity prediction, and trial optimization have compressed that timeline by an order of magnitude. In Silico Medicine's AI-designed fibrosis drug reached Phase 2 in under 30 months from concept in 2023. By 2030, this is not an exception, it is the new baseline. The drugs arriving in 2030 would have taken until 2045 under the old model. The pharmaceutical industry is being rebuilt from first principles by machine intelligence. Drugs are arriving faster, so is the threat that none of them can fully stop.
Number 9. AI discovers new antibiotic classes. Antimicrobial resistance killed 1.27 million people directly in 2019. The WHO calls it one of the greatest threats to global health. The antibiotic pipeline had been running dry for 40 years because antibiotics were not profitable enough for pharmaceutical companies to develop. AI changes that equation entirely. By 2030, AI systems trained on protein structure databases and bacterial genomics have identified multiple new antibiotic scaffolds, molecular structures bacteria have never encountered and have not evolved resistance to. Several are in clinical trials. Resistance will eventually follow, but the pipeline is alive again for the first time in a generation. The war on bacteria has a new weapon. Meanwhile, something is happening to human intelligence itself. Number 10. The first AI system surpasses PhD-level reasoning across all domains. Not one narrow domain, chess, protein folding, image recognition, all domains simultaneously. By 2030, at least one frontier AI system achieves expert-level performance across every major academic benchmark: mathematics, biology, law, medicine, engineering, literature. The system cannot feel, cannot suffer, cannot want, but it can reason, plan, and generate novel solutions at a level that meets or exceeds the best human minds in virtually every measurable domain. The consequences for every profession, every institution, and every assumption about the market value of human expertise are not yet fully understood, but they are arriving regardless. Artificial intelligence is becoming genuinely general, and it needs a body to go with it. Number 11. Humanoid robots enter the consumer market. Figure, Boston Dynamics, Tesla's Optimus, Agility Robotics, the race to build a general-purpose humanoid robot under $30,000 is the defining hardware competition of the late 2020s. By 2030, mass-market humanoid robots are in homes and workplaces, handling laundry, managing warehouse inventory, assisting elderly residents, performing repetitive physical tasks that currently require a human body. They are not yet indistinguishable from humans in capability. They are good enough. In the history of technology, good enough at the right price point is all that was ever required to change everything. Robots are coming home. Meanwhile, something is filling the sky above your city.
Number 12. eVTOL air taxis reach commercial scale. Joby Aviation, Archer, Whisk, the electric vertical takeoff and landing aircraft market has attracted more than $30 billion in investment. By 2030, commercial air taxi services are operating regular routes in 5 or more major cities. The 20-minute cross-city hop that once meant a 45-minute drive or a $200 helicopter becomes a $15 autonomous air taxi. Battery energy density has improved enough. Autonomous navigation has eliminated pilot error risk. AI-managed urban air corridors are making 1,000-vehicle airspaces operationally tractable. The sky above the city is becoming the second road network. The sky is opening up, and the roads below it are being served in ways that were impossible 5 years ago. Number 13. Drone delivery replaces last-mile logistics in 30-plus countries. Amazon Prime Air, Wing, Zipline, Meituan, autonomous drone delivery networks are already operational in a dozen countries. By 2030, same-hour drone delivery of medicine, groceries, and parcels is functioning across urban and rural areas in more than 30 countries. The economics are decisive. A drone delivery costs a fraction of a human courier, never gets stuck in traffic, operates at 3 in the morning without overtime, and in remote areas replaces road infrastructure that would cost millions to build. Zipline alone has already completed millions of medical deliveries in Rwanda and Ghana. The last mile of logistics, historically the most expensive, is being automated from the sky. The sky is delivering packages. The ground is about to be remapped entirely, starting with your body. Number 14. Whole-body MRI and AI become your annual checkup. In 2025, a full-body MRI cost between $2,000 and $5,000 and required a specialist to interpret. By 2030, AI diagnostic systems trained on hundreds of millions of scans have reduced both cost and interpretation time by 90%. The result? A complete soft tissue scan of your entire body, read by AI, flagging anomalies before symptoms exist, available under $500, covered by insurers who have run the actuarial math on early detection versus late-stage treatment. Cancers, aneurysms, metabolic disease, structural cardiac anomalies, detected years ahead of current standards. The annual checkup becomes the most valuable hour of your year. Medicine is learning to see inside you before you feel a thing. But the condition costing more lives than almost any other is invisible to a scanner.
Number 15. Depression becomes the world's leading disease burden. The WHO reports depression affects approximately 5.7% of adults globally,
And when measured by years of healthy life lost to disability, major depressive disorder now ranks as the single largest disease burden on Earth. The drivers in 2030 are compounding at speed: climate anxiety, automation-driven economic disruption, digital overload, urban isolation, and a global treatment gap where fewer than half of those affected receive any care. By 2030, AI-powered mental health platforms are providing first response therapy access to hundreds of millions who could not previously afford or reach a clinician. They do not solve the problem. They make the scale of it, for the first time, impossible to ignore. The mind is the next health frontier. So is a construction method that could rebuild civilization's housing stock. Number 16. AI-designed materials make 3D printed buildings viable. Generative AI designing novel building materials optimized for strength, thermal performance, and printability has converged with large-format robotic additive manufacturing to produce something the construction industry has been waiting decades for: a full residential structure printed on-site in under 72 hours for under $50,000. Icon has already printed communities of homes in Texas and Mexico. By 2030, AI-designed metamaterials and on-site robotic printing systems are in active deployment across affordable housing programs in the US, Europe, and sub-Saharan Africa. The construction industry, which has seen almost no productivity improvement since the 1960s, is being rebuilt from the foundation up. Buildings are being printed. Factories are already running without anyone inside them. Number 17. Brain-computer interfaces reach 10,000 users. Neuralink's 9th implant was performed in July 2025. The FDA has granted breakthrough device designation for speech restoration. Synchron and Paradromics are advancing competing programs. By 2030, neural implant systems have treated thousands of patients with paralysis, ALS, and severe speech impairments, allowing them to control computers, communicate, and in some cases operate robotic limbs with thought alone. This is not the general augmentation of science fiction. It is something more significant: proof at scale that the human nervous system can interface bidirectionally with silicon. The medical frontier is established. The elective augmentation frontier is now visible just beyond it. The nervous system is being connected to machines. So are entire cities in real time.
Number 18. Digital twins of cities go operational in 20 metros. A digital twin is a real-time AI simulation of a physical system, updated continuously with live sensor data that lets operators test changes before implementing them in reality. By 2030, at least 20 major cities operate comprehensive digital twins, models simulating traffic, energy consumption, flood risk, air quality, and infrastructure stress in real time. A city engineer runs a simulation of rerouting traffic before a major event and sees the downstream effects on energy demand, emergency response times, and pollution levels before a single cone is placed. Policy becomes testable before it is implemented. The era of governing cities by intuition is ending. Cities are getting smarter. Factories have already become something their workers would not recognize. Number 19. Lights out factories, zero humans on the floor. By 2030, more than 100 factories globally operate in complete darkness, no human workers on the production floor, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. AI-planned schedules, robotic assembly arms, automated quality inspection, and self-diagnosing maintenance systems run the entire operation. The lights are off because nobody needs to see. Tesla's gigafactories, automotive plants in South Korea and Germany, advanced pharmaceutical manufacturers already operating at near zero floor headcount. The lights-out factory is not a novelty in 2030, it is a competitive requirement. Companies that cannot match the unit economics of human-free production are priced out of the market entirely. The factory has no workers. The company built on top of it may have no employees at all.
Number 20. The first AI-run company reaches a billion-dollar valuation. Sam Altman said it plainly in 2025. There is a betting pool among tech CEOs for the year the first one-person billion-dollar company appears. By early 2026, 36% of all new global startups were solo-founded. By 2030, the first company managed primarily by AI agents, fewer than 10 humans in governance, hundreds of autonomous systems handling sales, product, operations, and compliance, crosses a billion-dollar valuation. Autonomous coding environments, AI sales agents, AI legal systems, AI marketing platforms, the components are operational today. The company of 2030 does not need a headcount. It needs a system architect. One person, $1 billion, 0 employees, and the technology underneath all of it may be about to break the locks on the entire digital world. Number 21. Quantum computing threatens to break global encryption. Every bank account, every medical record, every government secret, every private message on Earth is protected by the same mathematical assumption that factoring a large number into its prime components takes a classical computer millions of years. A sufficiently powerful quantum computer does it in hours. IBM has targeted fault-tolerant quantum computing by 2029. Governments have already begun the emergency transition to post-quantum cryptography standards because they know the threat is coming, even if the exact timing is uncertain. By 2030, the race between quantum attack capability and quantum-resistant defenses is the defining cybersecurity confrontation of the decade. Bitcoin and most existing blockchains face an existential migration deadline. The locks that secure the digital world are being redesigned before someone breaks them. Encryption is being raced to safety. Clean power needs the same urgency.
Number 22. Vertical farms feed 500 million urban residents. By 2030, AI-controlled vertical farms, sealed, climate-managed, LED-lit growing facilities stacked in urban warehouses supply the majority of leafy greens, herbs, and strawberries consumed in major metropolitan areas across Asia, Europe, and North America. 95% less water than field agriculture, no pesticides, no weather dependency, within 10 kilometers of the consumers they serve. The cost curve has followed the solar trajectory. What cost $10 per kilogram of produce in 2018 costs under $2 in 2030. Precision fermentation is simultaneously producing dairy proteins and egg whites in bioreactors at price parity with animal products in wealthy markets. Cities are growing their own food indoors. In the ocean surrounding them, a 50-year oversight is finally being corrected. Number 23. The ocean floor is almost completely mapped. When the Seabed 2030 initiative launched, less than 6% of the ocean floor had been mapped to modern standards. By 2025, that figure reached 27%, with a defined institutional target to complete the map by decade's end. By 2030, humanity will have its first comprehensive, high-resolution map of the planet it actually lives on. The consequences are immediate. Safer routing for the submarine cables carrying 95% of international internet traffic, better sited offshore wind farms, improved tsunami early warning, and a complete baseline for tracking deep-sea ecosystem change. We mapped the moon before we mapped our own seafloor. That error is about to be corrected. We are finally mapping home, and at the cellular level, we are beginning to rewrite what aging means. Number 24. Biological age reversal enters human clinical trials. Altos Labs, funded with over $3 billion, and Calico, backed by Alphabet, are both pursuing partial cellular reprogramming, resetting the epigenetic markers of aging without inducing cancer risk. In animal studies, treated subjects show measurable reversal of biological age markers, organs function like younger tissue, inflammatory signals decline, regenerative capacity increases.
By 2030, the first Phase 1 human trials have begun, with early biomarker data in hand. This is not a therapy in clinical use by 2030. It is a therapy with human safety data for the first time. The difference between that and widespread use is a decade of trials. The clock on that decade starts now. The aging clock is being questioned. The deadliest animal on Earth is being challenged at the same time.
Number 25. Gene-drive mosquitoes move toward field deployment. Malaria kills over 600,000 people per year. Dengue infects 400 million. The mosquito is the deadliest animal on Earth by a margin no other species approaches. Gene-drive technology, a CRISPR-based system that biases inheritance to spread a modified gene through an entire wild population within a few generations, can theoretically eliminate or suppress the mosquito species that carry these diseases. By 2030, WHO-supervised staged field trials are underway in West Africa and Southeast Asia. This is not release and forget. It is the most carefully regulated biological intervention in history because the stakes of getting it wrong are ecological and irreversible. The deadliest animal is being challenged, and humanity is about to learn the truth about the most valuable rocks in the solar system. Number 26. NASA's Psyche mission rewrites the asteroid mining narrative. In late July 2029, NASA's Psyche spacecraft reaches its target, a metal-rich asteroid potentially representing the exposed iron core of a shattered protoplanet. Prime mission science begins August 2029. By 2030, Psyche has delivered the first comprehensive orbital data on what a metal asteroid actually looks like, its composition, gravity field, surface structure, porosity. And the picture emerging will likely puncture one of the most persistent myths in the space industry, that metal asteroids are floating gold bars waiting to be mined. The physics of extraction, transport, and economics in deep space are far more complicated than the renderings suggest. Psyche gives us the real data. The real data changes the conversation permanently. The asteroid truth is arriving. Back on Earth, the power that runs civilization is being reinvented.
Number 27. Small modular reactors begin first real deployments. The IEA's net zero scenarios require firm, low-carbon electricity, power available on demand, regardless of whether the sun is shining or the wind is blowing. Renewables plus storage cover most needs, but not all. By 2030, the first small modular reactors, factory-fabricated, passively safe, deployable in 50 to 300 megawatt configurations, reach commissioning in Canada, the UK, and South Korea. They are not cheap. First-of-a-kind cost overruns are real and documented, but they exist. They are operating. The era in which nuclear was the technology of the past is over. The era in which it is the technology of the present has begun, tentatively, expensively, and necessarily. Clean, firm power is arriving. So is the most extreme concentration of private wealth in recorded history. Number 28. The world's first trillionaire emerges. Oxfam documented that the 5 wealthiest individuals on Earth doubled their combined wealth between 2020 and 2025, while 5 billion people became poorer. The compound dynamics of AI, returns to capital accelerating as AI raises productivity without proportionally raising wages, continue that trend. By 2030, at least one individual, with Elon Musk the most plausible candidate given his simultaneous positions in AI, energy, manufacturing, and space, is plausibly worth $1 trillion. The story is not the number. The story is whether democratic systems have developed the taxation, competition policy, and governance architecture to prevent AI's most extraordinary gains from accumulating in a single balance sheet. Wealth is concentrating at a speed democracy has never had to outrun before. In orbit, civilization's most critical new infrastructure is simultaneously under threat.
Number 29. Commercial space stations race the ISS retirement clock. The International Space Station retires around 2030. NASA's transition plan funds multiple commercial competitors: Blue Origin's Orbital Reef, Axiom Space's platform, and others are in funded development with milestone contracts. By 2030, at least one commercial station pathway has astronauts aboard in a crewed demonstration or is within months of it. A gap in crewed access to low Earth orbit, even a short one, costs the pharmaceutical, materials science, and fundamental research communities that depend on microgravity conditions billions in lost experimental time. ISS's retirement is the deadline. It is already ticking. The old station is leaving. The greatest equalizer in human history is already in your pocket. Number 30. AI tutors close the global education gap. UNESCO data consistently shows that a child's educational attainment is more strongly predicted by the country, city, and household they are born into than by their innate ability. By 2030, AI tutoring systems, available on any smartphone with satellite internet access, are delivering personalized, adaptive, expert-level instruction to students in Lagos, Dhaka, and rural Bolivia at the same quality previously available only in the world's best resourced schools. Early data from AI tutoring pilots shows students in low-income contexts achieving measurable gains equivalent to doubling their classroom time with a human teacher. This is not the end of educational inequality. It is, for the first time in history, the beginning of its structural dismantling. The tools of the world's best education are becoming free and universal. What humanity does with that, with all of this, is the only question that has ever mattered.
Artemis II has flown. 9 humans have Neuralink implants. Data centers are straining grids on 3 continents right now. The mRNA cancer vaccine platform has Phase 3 data. Orbital Reef is under construction. Psyche is already in flight. This is not a list of things that might happen. It is a list of things already in motion, funded, tested, launched, and climbing, trajectories that end in the world described above, on or before 2030. The tools are arriving faster than the wisdom to use them. The gap between what is technologically possible and what is politically organized, equitably distributed, and ethically governed is widening every year. The world in 2030 will be more medically capable, more connected, and more concentrated in its power than any generation of humans has ever had to navigate. That is not a reason for despair. It is a reason to pay close attention. Subscribe. The next episode covers the world these 30 technologies are building toward and what it costs to live in it.